Hi there, it's Tamara Doris with Mind Over Market Real Estate Coaching. And I wanted to actually do a video that kind of talked a little bit about my bio, not because I think that what I've done is anything, phenomenal, but I want you to understand when I talk about the things I talk about, especially when it relates to neuroscience and subconscious studies and those things, I want you to understand where that comes from. Because if you can really get why I teach the things that I do, and I know that I'm an anomaly in the real estate coaching space, but our skeptical minds can be so skeptical, and something seems too good to be true, so we don't want to believe it. So I thought if I gave you this little bio, this little video bio, it might help you wherever your skepticism kind of pops up, and it does for all of us. So back in the late 80s, very late 80s, I was first licensed, sold houses for a few years. Then I went to work for the California Association of Realtors. I spent several years there. I worked, we worked with the National Association of Realtors because CAR is, one of the biggest state associations. I think it's the biggest. Did a lot of training, agent training, especially in Northern California. And after I finished my graduate degree, because I was going to college so I could be a therapist, okay? And as soon as I finished my graduate degree, I had already written a book or two. I decided to go out on my own and start my hypnotherapy practice, which is what I did. And I found that I missed real estate and just the whole paradigm of real estate. So when I'm doing this, I'm recruited by the local college to teach real estate. Shortly after, like within a year after leaving CAR. So I start teaching it again, and I'm kind of incorporating some of the things I'm learning in subconscious studies and psychology, and I see my students are doing really well, so I get relicensed again and I start selling. Well, that was 16 years ago, and I've never stopped. Since then, I built teams, and I still, like right now, I have 2 listings. I don't do it full time at all, and only by referral, because my full-time business is coaching. So here's what I want to tell you that's so important. When I worked at CAR, NAR, all these acronyms that we know, NAR came out with a study, and it really, really stuck with me. And what the study said was it estimated that approximately 95% of the business in the United States in real estate was being done by about 5% of the agents. Now, my figures, I'm not quoting an NAR, research paper verbatim, but I just remember 95 to 5%. Wow, what's going on? I mean, what is going on? And as an adjunct professor of real estate, I know it's not that hard to get your license, okay? So if all these people can get a license, and these are people that are excited about it, right? No one goes and says, I want to get my real estate license because I hate it. But if all these people want to get their license, and it's not that hard to get their license, and they get their license, why would 95% of them not do as well as they could? See, Cody always has to get in my videos. I swear he does. He's such a camera hound. Get it, hound? Okay. Here's why that's so interesting. 95% of the business is done by 5% of the agents. Well, what I learned in my studies, in my academic studies and my personal research, and by the way, if you don't know me, I've written 20 books, not all real estate, but personal and professional development, and a lot of mind stuff, a lot of, not just mindset either. I mean, the science, the psychology, consumer psychology, neuroscience, quantum physics, these things that can really make a difference in your life. Well, one of the things that it was like my aha moment, it was like my eureka moment, was when I read in neuroscience that the fact that 95% of our thoughts are unconscious. So only 5% of our thinking is conscious, what we want, what we think we want. But the other 95% of it, which is largely running our lives, is unconscious. That's when it clicked for me. And I just connected with that NAR stat. And I went, the 95% of the agents who are, the 95% of the business that's being done by the 5% of the agents, that missing 95% that aren't doing as well as they could, it's because of their unconscious programming. I mean, what else could it be? Think about it. It's not that hard to get a license. People are excited when they get into it. Consumers don't want you knocking on their door and cold calling them. It's a relationship business. but our thinking, our unconscious thinking. So I match that up. And that's what my coaching these last several years has been based on. So I don't have a copy of my book, which I meant to, but Mind Over Market. It should be a Bible, and I've had other real estate coaches say that to their own clients, that it should be a Bible in real estate, because it really tells us how our thinking and our visualizing and our attitude and our state of being is so important to our business and the reality that we create. And I get into a lot of neuroscience. I also have a book called The Referability Factor, and that really breaks down how this applies to when you're working on attracting other people, your prospects, your clients, consumer psychology. And that gets into quantum physics and neuroscience as well. And then my most recent book is called Imagine That. And Imagine That takes a different route. It's the same information, but it's more succinct. It's down to earth. It's written in kind of a sassy voice. I can get sassy now and then. And it incorporates a little bit more metaphysics and spirituality. And the reason, the reason I did that was because I wanted to set the precedence with Mind Over Market to prove it's all science. You can't argue with science. You can say, well, faith is great, Tamara, but, at the end of the day, I got to pay my bills. You cannot argue with science, though. And science tells us, in no uncertain terms, that your unconscious brain is what's running your life right now. And not only is it running your life, it's filtering out things that could be very good for you, but because you have unlimited subconscious beliefs that you don't think that you could have these things, you're not going to see them. And we know from science, quantum physics, that the observer effect tells us what we can observe in our minds on a different dimension, we can create in our reality. There is absolutely so much evidence, thousands of studies in the scientific respected field of medicine and science and neuroscience and quantum physics that show us mind affects matter. Okay, so we know this is true. So that's what Mind Over Market is about. And that's why if you have any skepticism about, you should read it. But that is the purpose of this whole video, is just to tell you that I'm not your traditional dyed-in-the-wool real estate coach who's going to say, yes, you need to make more calls and you need to call your database. And, that's not what this is about. This is about helping you get successful, helping you build an abundant business from the inside out, because that's where it starts. I don't care what anyone tells you. I don't care what any real estate coach tells you. I'm here to tell you that science proves this. I've seen it in my own life, and I've seen it in all the agents and brokers who I've worked with. So if you are interested, subscribe to my channel, join my free Facebook group, Mind Over Market. I'm doing Facebook Live in there. I give away Kindle books, have contests, have a referral day. So that's a great group to join. And if you're serious and you're ready to talk to me about coaching, go to tamaradoris.com, under Mind Over Market, and fill out an application, and we'll get it on the calendar. Okay? Have a great day.